law of attraction. And I handed out an agenda, and for those of you who know me, it's kind of a joke because I never follow my agendas. So I know my subject matter, and you guys know your life, so we'll bring those two together, and we'll create a lot of value here today about how to live more effectively. And this is going to apply to your physical health, but it's also going to apply to your mental health, your emotional health, your financial health, your relationship health. And there's lots of areas in our lives where we can have health and wealth. And at any time, feel free to ask a question or redirect where we're going. Like I said, I know my material, and we can just play together here for a couple hours. Does that sound like a fair enough plan for everybody? Awesome. So the first thing that we have to understand is almost all of success in any area is in our heads. And we forget that. We think it's about these other things, but it's about our heads. So if your body is weak, can it heal faster? No, not a chance, right? So I need a volunteer. All you have to just come stand up here, Debbie. Thank you. You have to come up here, but it's really easy. This is called kinesiology or muscle testing. Probably a lot of you are familiar with this, but we're going to demonstrate it anyway, right? So all Debbie is going to do is hold her arm up to the side and be as strong as she can. So do that. I'll turn slightly this way so people know. So, okay, so this is her baseline strength, right? So now she's going to engage in some negative self-talk. Say, I'm a loser. I'm a loser. Be strong. And what happens? Her arm got weaker, right? I didn't press harder. That negative self-talk made her body weaker. If her body is weaker, can whatever she's trying to heal faster? No, not a chance, right? So right there, we've shown that what we're doing in our heads matters. Do you have any physical thing going on? No. You mean that I know of? Yes, that you know of. Oh, no. Okay, somebody else come up there who's got something. It doesn't have to be anything serious. It could be just some pain or the condition. Anyone? Nobody. Okay. Well, Connie. So same thing. Just hold your arm out to the side. There you go. There. Be strong. Okay. So now say it stinks having. You don't even have to say what you're thinking. It stinks having this problem. It stinks having this problem. Be strong. And what happens? Her body gets weaker. And is she more capable of healing herself in that situation? No. Right? So much of it is in our head. Hold your arm out to the side again, be strong. What if this can change? What if this can change? And she stays strong. Right? Now we'll talk about this more later, but say I have this problem, and then say I am experiencing this problem. So hold your arm up and say, I have this problem. I have this problem. And be strong. And that makes her arm weak. Say, I'm experiencing this problem. I'm experiencing this problem. And she stays strong. Thank you, that's all I needed. Appreciate it, both of you. Right. So much of health and healing is in our heads. And in our society, how many, if you watch TV or whatever, how many drug ads have you heard in your lifetime, seen in your lifetime, right? It's all this magic bullet, magic bullet, magic bullet, but that's not where it works. It's, here's my cynical side going to come out. No, pharmaceutical industry, God bless them. That's all I'm going to say.
Bless them.
God bless them. They want you as an income source for the rest of your life. So they treat symptoms, not causes. So, a lot of the cause is up here in our heads, what we believe about ourselves. So we already talked about negative self-talk, right? Negative self-talk makes your body weaker. How can your body heal faster if you're weaker? But let's take it out of the health context. What about your business if you're an entrepreneur? Or what about your physical fitness if you're taking care of yourself that way, right? If your body's weaker, can you do better? No. Not only is your body weaker, but your brain is weaker. And this isn't like my opinion. There's science that backs this up, right? When our brains are negative or even neutral, they're less creative, they're less accurate, they process information at a slower speed, we're less resilient, we're less optimistic. How in the world can you do better when you're doing those things? If you're an athlete, can you jump higher and run faster and react quicker when your body's weak? Not a chance. So negative self-talk has huge health consequences. But people negative self-talk all day long and don't even think twice about it. Because that's what everybody does, so we're so used to it that we don't even think it's weird. So one of the things I do is I teach some volleyball clinics, and it's my chance to, I love playing volleyball, but it's my chance to teach the same kind of stuff we're talking about here today to these younger ladies, mostly ladies, younger people, under the disguise of making them better volleyball players, right? So it's about, yeah, your head is your most important part on the volleyball court as well, right? And if you do negative self-talk, you can't play better. So we do this drill. It's not much of a volleyball drill. They get in a single file line. I throw the ball at them. They're supposed to pass it back to me. And whether it was a good pass or not, they need to loudly and proudly say what they did well, right? Yeah, I moved my feet. Yeah, I called for the ball. And even if it's a bad pass, and I'll throw balls that they're going to have a hard time getting to, they still need to say something they did good. So we go through the line once, maybe twice. And I go, okay, now be honest, who thinks this is really weird? Every single kid has their hand up. Because even at that age, the 10 to 14, 15-year-olds, they've already got great habits of talking forward to themselves. And then I ask the second question. Got it. Yeah, it is weird. It is different. But who feels better? Whose energy is up? Who is having more fun? Everyone's hand is up again. Right? Because if we don't do that, don't we go back to the back of the line and go, oh my gosh, I stink at volleyball. I should quit and take up knitting maybe or something, right? That's what we do in our lives all the time. So no, instead, even if it was a bad pass, they go, I went for it. Then they get to stretch to the back of the line feeling good about themselves, which is going to have them be ready for the next time. So that's how backwards we are. We'll beat up on ourselves and not think twice about it. Anybody beat up on themselves this morning? Oh, I know there's some liars in the room. Yeah. Yeah. But what you can learn is to do that less. Right, so I got here much later than I had anticipated or planned on getting here. And in my past, I would have given myself a hard time about this. This time I gave myself like a hard time for about a half a second. I'm like, I don't need to do that. Right, because I've worked on this. I've increased my capacity to be kind to myself. And at the deepest level, law of attraction is really about you learning to be kind to yourself. At the deepest level, law of attraction work, again, whether we're talking about health, any and every area of your life, is about you getting better at loving, accepting, and improving of yourself exactly as you are right here, right now, today. And people aren't very good at that. Not very good at all. We've got all kinds of stories about how things need to be different, and I need to be different, and I can't love, accept, and approve of myself right now. Well, you can, and when we love, accept, and approve of ourselves exactly as we are, then life just works. Right, so I've been doing my work for over 20 years. And in that time, I have yet to run into a problem somebody has that isn't a symptom of them not fully loving, accepting, and approving of themselves. 100% of the time. So that's the only work there is to do. That's the ultimate law of attraction work, is learning to be kinder to yourself. Is negative self-talk kind to yourself? No way, no how, right? And nobody in the history of humankind has ever improved performance through negative self-talk. Right? That's the illusion, that's the myth that, oh, gosh darn it, if I get a little tough with myself, it'll inspire me to do better. But again, if your brain's weaker and your body's weaker, how in the world are you supposed to do better? And how in the world is your body supposed to heal? You can't, right? So negative self-talk. I am statements. We did that with Connie. Right? So with health, it's so easy to start identifying yourself as your problem. Right? And I am is a statement of identity. This is who I am. So if somebody's sick, they might say, I am a cancer patient. I am chronic gas. I don't know, whatever people have, right? Whatever they say. But they'll identify themselves as their problem. Do you really want to make that your identity? So everyone, say out loud, say, I am angry. You just notice how that makes you feel. Because I'm sure everyone's got something in their life that can be angry about. No, hang on a second. Let's do that slightly different. Think about something that you're angry or irritated about. Some situation in your life. If anybody doesn't have one, I'll loan you one. Yeah, I got one. Right? So now think about that and go, yeah, I'm angry about that. And notice how it makes you feel. Right? Pretty invested in it, right? Now say, I'm experiencing some anger about that. Is that different? It's lighter, right? Because you're not getting all invested in it. I'm experiencing means it's a transitory state. It can change, it will change, it doesn't have to stay that way. Right? So with health stuff, people wrap their identities around it. I am this, I am that, whatever it is. I am a sore shoulder, I am a cancer person, I am this, I am that. You're inviting it to stay versus, no, this is just something that's passing through. And to see yourself, like Law of Attraction 101 says, what you give your energy, focus, and attention to is what you get in your life. Whether it's what you want or what you don't want. Whether it's what you want or what you don't want, right? So when I'm giving my energy and attention and focus to I am this problem, I am inviting it to stay. And so then we come and we see somebody like Carrie here, and she does great work, but because of what's going on in our heads, her work is 50% as efficient or effective as it could be. If we sabotage the dollars we're out there spending, or we go see a medical doctor, or we do whatever, because of that going on in our heads. That stuff can't be as effective because we're blocking it. Right? So I am experiencing is very different than that's who I am. But we make those I am statements all the time. Right? I mean, outside of this, I am angry. Don't we say stuff like that all the time? Instead of I am experiencing anger, and that creates so much more freedom and ease in our body. And again, if it's ease in our body, we can heal faster and more effectively, and things can be different. So, another big law of attraction thing. Hang on a sec. So I didn't really finish that thought, right? So what you give your energy, focus, and attention to. So are you seeing yourself as I am this problem, or are you seeing yourself as being a well person who happens to have this temporary experience? Right? Get the difference? Right? And again, this is a huge thing, especially if somebody's got a long-standing illness, to see themselves as healthy. A healthy person who happens to be experiencing this. And this isn't only true for ourselves, this is true for the people in our life. Right? Because, we have friends and family, and sometimes they have physical stuff going on, right? So if I see my sick relative as sick, I am helping to hold them in that position. I am in their way of their healing. I am in the way of their healing. And if I see them as well, I'm contributing to their healing. Debbie, can I borrow you again? All right.
Can I make one statement?
Sure.
Just by what you just said, I said, oh my God, I've got issues. I've got totally issues. And I said no. So I think that's a good thing. Because I wasn't acknowledging it. Yeah. On that thought process.
So hold your arm out again, be strong.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I want you to think I'm pretty cool, and I want you guys to send to her, I'm just going to lose her. So, go ahead, do that, and be strong. Oh, and what happened? Her arm got weaker.
That's amazing.
Right? Now, she's responsible for her own life and her own well-being, but quantum physics, everything is energy, we're all connected. Our energy influences her. So if she's our sick relative and we're seeing her as sick, we're bringing her energy down, right? Hold on again. Now everybody thinks, oh gosh, what an amazing human being. All right, really strong. Thank you. Thank you. So that vision you hold for other people matters. And this might sound hocusy-pocusy, right? Because there's science on this. They've done studies. The classical study they've done is they ran kids through a series of tests, and then they told the teacher, hey, Carrie, these are your superstars. These are your, now don't treat them any differently, but we just want you to know that these are your superstars. So then at the end of the year, sure enough, those kids are the superstars, right? But they lied to the teacher. They just picked kids out at random. X, Y, and Z, they're your superstars. But because the teacher held a different vision for them, saw the highest and best in them, expected the highest and best from them, they rose to the challenge. So you go, oh yeah, but that's kids. They've done the same thing with like military recruits. This are your superstars. Same thing happened, right? So this isn't hocus pocus. There's science that proves that the vision we hold for other people influences them. Right? So you're either a headwind or a tailwind to them.
But I just want to say that, you know, for those of you that have been in work, Janelle, I wanted to point out this is a perfect example of that with us. Yes. When you are trying to protect your energy from people sending you or being in a negative place, if you can protect your own energy, it can make such a huge difference. And that, I just wanted you guys to be able to acknowledge that as that visual of what that difference can make for you.
So, and if I've got some illness, I need to train the people in my life to not see me as sick and sad and pathetic. Because all they're doing is being a headwind I have to fight against. Just a funny little story. I learned about headwinds a really painful way. I bought a bike. This was like I was a senior in college. I bought a bike and like, hey, I should go for a bike ride, right? So I went for this really long bike ride along the foothills of Boulder out towards Lyons. And I'm like, I'm really tired. I should probably turn around and go home. I turned around and immediately found out that I had had a wind at my back the whole way out there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember there was a pretty steep hill, and I had to pedal to go downhill because the wind was so strong. I'm like, this is not right. Right? I threw up in the bushes twice on the way home. I was so tired. I walked into my apartment, laid down on the kitchen floor, and woke up there the next day. I was so tired. Headwind, so I learned about the difference between a headwind and a tailwind spectacularly that day, right? So that's a great reminder for me because, again, with the opinions we hold of other people, we're either a headwind, helping them to be as great as they can possibly be, or we're a tailwind that they have to fight against. And the more connected we are, the more of a headwind or tailwind that we can be, right? So our family, business partners, right? We have more of an influence than somebody we don't know as well. So that's a big piece of this healing piece too. We got to train the people to see us as whole and happy and complete as well. And for us to do that for the people in our lives. Anybody heard the old saying, what you resist persists? One of the biggest law of attraction traps that we make is we fall into this trap of life will be better when something is different. I'll be happy when I'm healthier. I'll be happy when my physical thing is healed. I'll be happy when I have more money in the bank. I'll be happy when my business is doing better. And it sounds logical. It sounds like that would be true. Well, of course I'll be happier when that's different, but that's not the way it works. Because happiness is not dependent on external circumstances. We think it is. Happiness is an internal thing. If happiness was dependent on external circumstances, wouldn't Robin Williams still be with us today? Adored, wealthy, crazy funny. Yeah, he's not with us today. It's not about external, it's about internal. Happiness is how we respond to things. Happiness is a choice. So as soon as we say I'll be happy when something is different, we're setting ourselves up for a crash and burn. Because even if you do achieve that goal, you'll still be you. The person who's got a lot of practice in being dissatisfied and unhappy. And it won't change. No, to be happy with what you have now. So what we do is the should word shows up in our thinking a lot. Things should be different. I should be different. My health should be different. My shoulder, my liver should be different. Whatever's going on with you should be different. My finances should be different. My relationship should be different. Does this sound familiar to anybody? And the old saying, what you resist persists. As long as we're in that should, we can't change it. And our efforts to change it are going to be highly ineffective. And then we're going to be frustrated and disappointed, which is more bad energy, right? It should be different. And so again, you say it should be different, and then you come and you get some treatment from Carrie here. Your treatment's not going to be as effective as it potentially could be because you're in your own way. So our responsibility in this wellness thing is to bring the right mindset. That what if things can be different? What if my body can heal? That sort of thing. And to appreciate that it's already good. It's already good, right? So that's the opposite of it should be different, is it's already good. And we don't see that in our lives because we're so caught up in that should be different, should be more successful, should be this, should be that. Over the years, I can't tell you how many people I've worked with who already have six-figure incomes. And guess what their first complaint out of their mouth is? I should be doing better. I should have turned my phone off. I should be doing better. I should have more money in the bank. They already have a six-figure income. Is that already good? Yeah. Now, can we do better? Of course. It's a happy word. The whistling wizard. All right. Yes, it's already good and it can be better, but we don't need to make where we are right now bad and wrong in order for things to be better. But that's the habit out there in the world, is to make where we are right now bad and wrong. And the alternative to that is it's already good. So we're going to talk about this two different ways here. So one is a number line, two number lines actually. Right? If we have a number line that goes from -5 to +5, and one that goes from 0 to 10, that's the same amount of space, it's just a different starting point, right? People are so willing to use those negative numbers when they evaluate where they're at. Oh, my confidence. Oh, that's a -3. Oh, my health. That's not very good. I'm going to give that a -4. Oh, my whatever. My finances. Oh, that's a -2. You get what I'm saying with the negative numbers? So look around. Are there less than 0 people here? Can there be less than 0 people here? Can there be less than 0 plants in this room? Can there be less than 0 trees out there? There's no such thing as less than 0. So as soon as we identify ourselves in that less than 0, we are inaccurate. We're in a distorted perspective, right? Yeah, it's just not true. The absence of health is death. Is anybody here dead? I don't think so. So that means you got some health. Could it get better? Yes, right? So we're misidentifying where we're at as our starting point, and we create a lot of suffering and pain that way. I'm trying to say 3 things at the same time, and my head is exploding. And there's no such thing as less than 0. So when we think we're there, have you ever been in front of one of those funhouse mirrors that either makes you look like you're 2 feet tall and 4 feet wide, or 20 feet tall and about this skinny? Right? You don't go, hey, dang, I'm looking good. Look how skinny I am. Right? No, you realize that that's a distorted perspective. You don't believe it's true, but when we see our reflection with these negative numbers, we think it's the truth. No, it's a totally inaccurate reflection. So if we take those same negative numbers and we move them over to the 0 to 10 number line, right? -4 is 1 unit away from the end. So if we move at the other number line, that becomes a 1. Sure. 1 is far from 10, but simple question here, is 1 more than 0? So it's a win, right? So let's say I've got some serious stuff going on, and I rate my health as previously a -4, so now I think my health is a 1. This is what we were just mentioning a second ago, right? 1 is more than 0. The total absence of health is death. So I have some health, and I would like to get healthier, right? And so literally every day, I remind myself that, you know what, my life is already good. And I'm grateful for what I already have. I do this practice every single morning. Remind myself that my life is already good. Be grateful for what I already have. And yes, I am aiming for more in all kinds of areas in my life. But we got to stop making where we are now bad and wrong. As soon as we make where we are bad and wrong, we're stuck. So yeah, you got some health stuff you would like to be different? Yes. But it's not bad and wrong. It's already good. You have some health, then you would like to have more. And related to that, I said we're going to talk about this in two ways, is we often talk in terms of, I just want to be healthy, or I want to be wealthy, or I want to be successful, right? So everybody say out loud, say, I want to be wealthy. And you notice that makes you feel a little sad? That it doesn't bring your energy up? Because if you're saying, I wouldn't tell you all I want to live in Colorado, you'd be like, you live in Colorado, that really doesn't make much sense, right? You don't say you want what you already have. So when I say I want to be wealthy, or I want to be healthy, or I want to be successful, or fill in the blank, you're basically saying I don't have any of that now, which again is that inaccurate perspective of yourself. No, I would like to be wealthier. So say I want to be wealthier. And that typically actually creates some optimism and some feeling of well-being, right? Because you're acknowledging the fact, hey, you know what, I've got some wealth, and I would like to become wealthier. I want to be healthier. I've got some health, and I would like to become healthier. Success, right? People's definition of success is somewhere other than where I am now, is the definition of success. Well, that's a pretty unfriendly definition of success, right? No, everybody in this room has already had tons of successes in their life. Tons of them. So own it. I am already a success, and I am aiming for being more successful. So say out loud, say, I am already a success. And just notice if that brings up some chatter in your brain. If it is, then there's some letting go work for you to do there. To own the fact that you are already a success, and you're aiming at becoming more successful. If you weren't already a success, you'd be dead and dead broke and whatever. No, you're already a success. You're aiming for being more successful. Again, the complete absence of health is death. So if you're not dead, you have some health. So we can build on that. We can grow on that. We can make progress on that. We can become healthier, wealthier, happier, more successful. Does that make sense? So it's so important for us to watch out for that making ourselves bad and wrong. And even just saying I want to be wealthy is, like making ourselves bad and wrong, right? Because we're saying I'm not that now and that's a problem. Right? And people do this all day long. They make where they are bad and wrong. Everybody say out loud, say I'm bad and wrong. Does anybody feel better? Anybody's energy up? Anybody feeling better about themselves? No, of course not. But if we start to pay attention, you'll be stunned at how many times a day you're telling yourself that. It's shocking. It's shocking. We do it all the time. And anytime, right, you need to wire your brain so that when the should word comes up out of your mouth or in your thinking, that like alarms go off. Oh my gosh! DEFCON 5! Yikes! Because all that's going to come out of should is damage. Is a mess. And so one of the simplest ways of living the law of attraction is simply paying attention to, is my energy up or is my energy down? Like that's a pretty simple thing to pay attention to. Is my energy up or is my energy down? If my energy is up, I'm going to be more magnetic to my good. I'm going to enjoy life more. My brain is going to be more effective. It's going to be easier to do the things that I need to do to move my life forward when my energy is up. And the things I do, because of the law of attraction, what you put out comes back, will be far more fruitful. And then the opposite of that is true when our energy is down, right? First of all, when our energy is down, does anybody feel like being productive? No, you feel like having a margarita and catching up with Gilligan and the Skipper, right? No Family Feud, Price is Right, whatever, right? You're not feel like getting out there and tearing up the world when your energy's down. Even if you do manage to get into action, that action is going to be far less effective than it could be via the law of attraction. What you put out comes back. So this is my favorite disgusting analogy here. Like the law of attraction is often described as a boomerang. And it comes back to you, right? So what happens if you throw a boomerang that's covered in dog poop? Are you going to be happy when that thing comes back? Is it going to be a good time? No, it's going to be not good, right? But that's the law of attraction in action. What you give your energy, focus, and attention to is what you get. So when I'm hanging on to doubt, fear, worry, disappointment, anger, anything that you would call a negative emotion, give my energy, focus, and attention to that. That's what's going out. And when that comes back, it's not a good thing. Right? I am this problem. That brings my energy down. Right? So when we bring our energy down, even if we take action, that action is far less effective because of what we just talked about, right? So then the results come back, and then I'm going to be disappointed in the results because I was hoping for more, and my energy goes even further down, and it becomes this nasty spiral. So energy up, energy down. And energy up, energy down right at the very beginning with the muscle testing, right? It's all in our head. So now here's a really important question. Who's the boss of your brain? Only you. Right? Can a loved one make you think a certain way? No. Can a boss? No. Only you are the boss of your brain. And we're either going to choose things that bring our energy up or that bring our energy down. And any time and every time that we bring our energy down, we are now attracting more of what we don't want and less of what we do want. Just that simple. So, that being said, you would think that we would do everything that's in our power to keep our energy up, right? Supposedly, exactly. Well, welcome to life, right? If we pay attention to this, it's stunning how often we bring our energy down, right? So that it should be different. That brings our energy down. Speaking of focusing on what I want to be wealthy. Brings your energy down. Everybody say that again now. I want to be wealthy. And notice, it just brought your energy down, right? So it's not helping you. I want to be wealthier. And it brought your energy up, correct? Energy up, energy down. The thoughts I'm thinking right now, the feelings I'm feeling, the perspective I'm looking at this from, it's either going to bring your energy up or your energy down. And if it brings your energy down, we always have the ability to do something different. So one of my favorite references is Viktor Frankl wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Anybody here know of Viktor Frankl or read the book? Yeah, quite a few people. Viktor was part of the Holocaust. And he survived the Holocaust, but not only did he survive physically, he survived mentally and emotionally as well, right? And so even though he lost all his family and, experienced incredible nastiness, he wanted to have a good life. And what he realized when he was there is that circumstances outside your control are going to impact your life, but you get to choose how you respond. And if you respond in one way, your life flourishes. And if you respond in another way, you perish. Whether that's in his case physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationshipally. There's so many different ways that we can perish, right? And we talked about this a minute ago about happiness is a choice. Right? Stuff is going to happen in your life, whether it's the traffic jams that mess with our starting time today, or it's raining and you're supposed to go hiking, or a person says something mean to you, right? Other people fall into that category of circumstances outside our control, right? And we can't control our loved ones, right? People have stories about, oh, my significant other should be treating me different, right? They're a circumstance outside your control, but you get to choose how you respond. And any time that we say, I'll be happy when this or that is different, we're throwing out that poop-covered boomerang, and it's not going to go well for us, right? So who's the boss of your brain? Come on. So another way of talking about this same thing is that what each and every one of us do all day long is we tell ourselves stories. And we think we're reporting on the truth, but in fact it's stories. Stories about who we are, stories about who we aren't, stories about the way the world treats us. And we think we're a reporter reporting on what's happening, but in fact those stories are us creating our experience. And even when we think about behaviors, right? Anybody got some got some behaviors they would like to change? Like maybe, since it's a health thing, maybe you want to eat healthier, or exercise more, or whatever, right? Or in your business, maybe you want to make more phone calls, or stop procrastinating, or on and on and on, right? The thing is that when people try to change behaviors, they fail almost all the time. And the reason for this, anybody here kept a New Year's resolution? I don't know why my hand's up. No hands, right? Because we're trying to change behaviors, and it's not about changing the behaviors, because the behaviors are a perfectly natural, perfectly appropriate response to the stories that we're telling ourselves. And so we need to change the stories, and then the behaviors will change on their own. So if I have a story that exercise is nasty and not fun, how often am I going to exercise? Not very often, right? Yes, I can occasionally use willpower and effort to force myself to go exercise. But willpower, there's studies that have been on this, that prove willpower is like a battery. When you use some, there's less left. And when you use some more and there's less left, then you get to that point where if you're doing it where you know you need to do something, you should do something, and you just don't have anything inside you and you can't do it. Now, because your willpower battery is used up, and until that recharges, that method of getting yourself to do whatever it is won't work. Right? And that's, go to the gym on January 2nd and it's full, and 5 days later, everybody's willpower battery is gone, and the only people who are still in the gym are either people who changed their story, or people who are there in December, right? Because the willpower and effort faded. So where am I going with all of this? So one of the classic studies they did on this willpower thing is they would bring two groups of people in to a room where they would do puzzles that were literally impossible to solve. So all they were measuring is how long would these people stick with it before they quit. And what they would do with both groups is they had to stay in the waiting room 10 minutes before they went into the puzzle room, right? So Group A just stayed in the waiting room and then went into the puzzle. Group B stayed in the waiting room, and as soon as they were in there, they brought in a plate of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies and a plate of radishes. And they told the people, eat as many radishes as you would like. I don't know how they said that with a straight face. I didn't have in my head off, right? Eat as many radishes as you like, but please do not eat any of the chocolate chip cookies, because we have some kids coming in later on this afternoon for a different study, and the cookies are for them. So now, these people have to spend 10 minutes smelling chocolate chip cookies and trying not to be a creep and steal a chocolate chip cookie from a little kid. And then they go in there and do their puzzles, and they quit way faster than the other group, because they had already used willpower, so they had less left. And this is the way we approach change most of the time. It's willpower and effort, and it's not an effective strategy. A much more effective strategy is to uncover what's the story that's going on here and change the story. So, the $1 million question, based on what's going on here, what's the story I'm telling myself? Right? In my one-on-one coaching, I ask that question all the time. An easy example of this, a client said, I've got all these people who did business with me in the past, and I haven't done business with them in a while. I want to call them and see if I can't bring them back on board, but I can't seem to pick up the phone. So I said, hey, what story are you telling yourself? She thought about it for all of about 3 seconds, and it was clear to her. She said, I'm telling myself that they don't want to hear from me. Why in the world would you call somebody who doesn't want to hear from you? Right? You wouldn't. So her behavior is a perfect response to her story. And again, she could use some willpower and effort and make some phone calls here and there, but she's not going to call a bunch of those people because of the story. But do those people really not want to hear from her? We don't know. It's a made-up story. What if some of them really do want to hear from her? What if she can change somebody's mind? What if she can make a difference? Aren't those all much better stories that would invite you to be into action? So now let's go back to health and wellness here, right? If I've got a story that exercise is not fun or exercise is uncomfortable, I'm going to avoid it. That's a natural response to that story. But it's not a universal truth, right? It's our story. We think it's a universal truth. No, are there people out there who think exercise is great fun? Who think the sweatier the better? Yes, so it's not a universal truth. It's your little truth, and if somebody else can see something different, that means you can see something different too. Right? There's an old folk saying about the north end of the southbound moose, right? Not the greatest perspective, and then you get all that, and you're just staring at the moose's butt, right? So, you do a little work with your feet, you walk around, and now you have a very different view of the moose, right? Hopefully a much more attractive view. Unless the moose is there, then it's a dangerous view, but whatever, right? So we get these perspectives in life, and it's the first one we see, and we think it's the truth. Finding new clients is hard. Exercise isn't fun. Blah, 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 on and on and on, right? So it's just a perspective, and we can always do a little mental walk around and find another perspective. Viktor Frankl, Man Search for Meaning. There's an excerpt from, a story he tells in there. There's a person in there, a story he tells in his book. It's really a great example of this. So there's this old man, and his wife of forever had just recently passed away, and he was a mess, right? He was so lost without her. He was in so much pain and suffering. And what Victor did is he gave him some meaning. He helped him change his perspective. And what he said is, imagine that this was different, and you were the one who died first, and now your wife would be the one who's alone. And all of a sudden he's like, oh my gosh, I am so grateful that she doesn't have to experience this. Because that's an act of love from him to her, right? Mm-hmm. I am so grateful she doesn't have to be in my shoes, that now it has meaning, and now life was manageable for this guy. Huge change, because he did the work to get a different perspective, right? So when you change your stories, you change your life. So based on what's going on in my life, what story am I telling myself? And another story that often sabotages people is a story that it's not possible for things to be different. It's not possible for things to be different. Whether we're talking about our finances or our physical health, right? So I've had you say several things out loud, but I didn't explain what we're doing there. So let me back up a step here. Now, what I did with Connie and with Debbie there with the arm, we can do that same thing with our voices. So when you say something out loud and pay attention to how it feels, it's either going to feel true or not true. And if it feels not true, that would be the same thing as doing that and the arm goes weak, right? So and if it feels true, so if it doesn't feel true, or your throat tightens up, or your stomach is going flip-flops, or the voice in the back of your head goes down and pigs fly, or anything like that, then you know you've got some head pressure. You're in your own way. You're making yourself weak. And if you say it out loud and it feels strong and true, then you know that's not the case. So saying sentences out loud is a really easy way for you to explore what's going on in your heads. Right? So think of a goal you're aiming at. I don't care, financial, health, relationship, whatever. Everybody got a goal? Now say, it's possible for me to do that. And rate where that is on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, oh yeah, that's totally true. 1 being, oh, I feel up in my mouth a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's not true at all. Right? If that's not up in a 9 or a 10, the chances of you hitting that target are slim to slimmer to none. It's not going to happen because you're in your own way. But is it possible? It's just a story. And so often people have stories of, oh, well, that's possible for this person, but not for me. Or she can have success in this business, but not me. It's just a story. So we've got to identify those stories and change them. And one of the easiest and most effective ways to change our stories is these 2 words. What if? What if? If we were to hook your brain up to thermal imaging, we'd see that those 2 words turn on and off different parts of your brain. And when I'm in crappy thinking, my reptilian brain, my most primitive brain, is running the show, which has me be in fight and flight, not very creative, not very resourceful. So I say, what if this could be different? What if I can do this? What if it is possible? That turns on my prefrontal cortex, my neocortex. That's the part of your brain that's about expansion and possibility and quality of life. Totally different brain. What if it is possible? What if I can do this? So I tell people every morning, say out loud whatever it is that you're aiming at. I'm able to hit that goal. Or excuse me, every morning is possible. It's possible for me to hit that goal. And just pay attention to how it feels. And if it's not up at the 9-10 range, then my gosh, your whole day is going to be in sabotage to some degree or other. So do some what ifs. What if it can be different? What if it is possible? Right? But people fall into that resignation that this is it. I've got this health thing, I've had it for a while, it can't be different. What if it can? What if it can be different? Milton Erickson is the guy who made hypnotherapy famous. And Milton Erickson, oh my gosh, amazing. That guy was good. One of the things he was also known for is he would tell little stories. And in telling the stories, he'd be putting information into people's heads that they needed to change and to grow. And one of those stories was about this time he was doing work in a prison. And in came the next inmate to work with him. And this was a young guy who was a problem in prison. He had a bad attitude. He got into fights. He was in prison for committing violent crimes. Right? So this is a person whose life is not headed in a good direction. Right? Their whole therapy session was 1 sentence long. I don't know how Milton made to do this, but he just looked at the kid and he said, what if you woke up tomorrow and everything was different? That's all he said. What if you woke up tomorrow and everything was different? So what Milton did there is he opened up the door of possibility that it could be different, and that's what if does. And ultimately, this kid, he did a complete reverse. And he got released, he went from being a problem prisoner to getting released early for good behavior. And he went on to have a real life. Married, family, career, all of that. Right? None of that was possible. Why it wasn't possible, he said, I don't know. But it wasn't clearly because otherwise he wouldn't have been living his life that way. And it wasn't possible that he could have a decent life. What if it was possible and his life changed? So these long-standing areas of pain in our life, whether it's financial, whether it's health, whether it's whatever, what if it can be different? What if it can be different? And don't sleep on what if. It sounds so easy, and it is so easy. That's part of the beauty of it. It's such an easy tool to use, but oh my gosh, I have hundreds of stories from people who say, oh my gosh, I got to tell you what's happened to me from using what if in my life and in my business. What if it can be different? What if you're upset? What if I can let go of that? What if I can be happy right now? What if I can do this? Anybody ever been driving to a meeting and you're doing negative what ifs all the way there? Oh my gosh, what if they don't like me? What if I park? Oh my gosh, what if, now we're going and we're a wreck, right? And our energy is down. If my energy's down, how am I supposed to give a better presentation, right? Or have a better meeting? No. What if I rock their world? What if I change somebody's life today? What if they're exactly what I need? I'm exactly what they need. What if we connect? What if I can serve and contribute to these people? Right? Again, who's the boss of your brain? I am. Right? In a sports chair. Who's the boss of your brain? I am. Right? What if? What if? It's an amazing way to change the channel of our brain when we're on a negativity channel, when we're throwing out those poops of a boomerang, to turn it to a positivity channel. Thinking about your goals. I can't do that. What if I can? What if this can work out? When you're stressed out, how's this all going to happen? I don't know, but what if it can be easy? I think most people should get that tattooed right here. What if it can be easy? Go ahead and write it in the if you want, so that you can refer to that frequently. Because we're so good at making things harder than it needs to be. What if it can be easy? What if it can be easy? What if it can be easy? If I had $1 for every time I told up to a client, I'm pretty sure I would own my own island somewhere. Right? And so I get that all the time. What if it can be easy? What if it can be easy? So, talking about what if it can be easy and what if, one of the other law of attraction traps that people fall into all the time is what you want is your job, but how that shows up, how that comes about in your life is God's job. And none of us are qualified to do God's job. We obviously think that we are because we're trying to do it all the time, but it just makes us feel stressed and overwhelmed. So imagine I gave you an assignment right now to go out there and make a coincidence happen and then come back. Well, one thing, Carrie, and I know is we'll never see any of you ever again. And how are you going to make a coincidence happen? Right? So think about, right, so I'm going to use a business example here, an entrepreneurial example. People are always like, where am I going to get my volume? Where am I going to find my new client? Right? So think about, where am I going to find my new client? You notice it makes you feel panicked and stressed, right? There's the food-covered boomerang, right? No, every single person in your life, God handled the details for them to be there, right? If David and I are best friends from grade school, who got us at the same grade school? Right? Now, our job is still to take action, so maybe David said, hey, you want to teeter-totter at recess? Or whatever. And boom, now all of a sudden we started a friendship, right? So no, we got to take action, but who got us there in the first place? Or any person in your life you dated, who got you and that person in the same place? God did, right? And then you had to take action. Any client, any customer you've ever had, you got you and that person in the same place. God did. So we're trying to be God, and we're not good at it. Right? It naturally leads to us getting stressed and overwhelmed, and we've already covered that. When you're stressed and overwhelmed, your energy goes down, which makes you far less magnetic to your good, right? So even in health and healing, how is it going to happen? I don't know. We need to be open to miracles, because running into every person you have ever met in your life is a miracle. What did Einstein say? We can either live life as if everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. Something like that, right? I'm going to go with the former. Everything is a miracle. So, what you want is your job, but how that comes about is God's job. So when we try to control God's job, we feel stressed, we feel overwhelmed. That's our inner control fluid coming out, and then again, law of attraction, we become in our own way. Versus, I don't know how it's going to come, but what if it does? What if it does? So I have a friend who I years ago taught this what if technique to, and with his company, he's trained probably 10, 20,000 people in the what if technique. And so he was in Hawaii at a retreat earlier this year, and he's just hanging out by the pool. And this guy comes up to him and says, I gotta give you a hug, man. And I'm like, okay, now who are you? Right? And he's like, you changed my life. So my friend Chris said, tell me more. What happened? He's like, WIAT technique. I have increased my income 5 times within this last year, and I attribute it to using the WIAT technique. Because every time he started to fall into that how's it going to happen trap, he would just say, I don't know how, but what if I can? Right? And so he gave some examples, like he said to his wife, let's aim to do $20,000 this month. And his wife said, how in the world are we going to do that? Our best month ever was 10,000, so how are we going to do that? And he smiled at her and said, I don't know how, but what if we can? They did $20,000 that month. Over and over, I don't know how, but what if I can? We all know what happened to Superman and Kryptonite, right? He becomes very non-super, right? How is Kryptonite to all of us? It makes us weak. It makes us ineffective. It's not our job. Now, our job is not to sit there and do nothing. No, our job is to be in action and do the small stuff, do what's in front of us to do. Absolutely be an inspired action. I'm not saying don't, but don't think you're in charge. Let go of that inner control freak. I don't know how, but what if I can? Well, I always end up talking to some people about relationship stuff. And, you know, what they want is, I want my relationship to be better with this person. Even that we're getting caught up in the house. Because, no, what I really want is a great relationship with this, and this quality, right? And if it happens to be with this person, that's great. If it's somebody else, that's just a detail. Does that make sense? No, what I really want is a great relationship. If Carrie and I are in a relationship and it's not going that well, so I'm sitting there saying, well, I'm trying to work, I want to have things work with Carrie, and then it doesn't, but I meet somebody else, and a year later, like, got what I want. Do I care that Carrie will broke up? No. In that moment, could it be a little, you know, the breakup pain? Of course. But what you want is a detail. Or, oh, this company, I want them as my client. No, you want a new client. And if it's this company, that's great. If it's somebody else, who cares? With my health, if it's this treatment that helps, or that treatment, or maybe just some mental work of writing notes and stuff, who cares? You just want greater health. You just want greater health. So how is God's job? And even in prayer, I hear people praying and telling God how to do his job. Well, God, here's what I want in this situation, and here's the best way to do that. And he's like, I don't critique people's prayers, but I'm just watching this myself. So I try to pray that, hey, here's the end result I wanted. Whatever path works for me, right? So another way to talk about this is, imagine this room has 100 doors, right? And we've got some good we want to come into our lives. What we do when we're trying to control the house is become a control freak. Oh, this is how it's going to happen. So I put all of my attention on this door, and in effect, as soon as I do that, this is where my good's coming from, right here, I have locked all of the 99 doors. So now I've handcuffed God, which doesn't seem like a good strategy, right? And then there could even be knocking coming from over there. I'm like, hey, leave me alone. I'm focused on my good here. This is where it's coming from. You know, how many millions of ways could an extra $1,000 come into your life? A million different ways. But what do we say? Oh, $1 million. Let's see, that means I got to get a new client. Okay, how am I going to get a new client? Well, I better go to the network meeting. I also want to inner control freak again. Right? No, I don't know. Doesn't matter how it comes. It doesn't matter, does it? Does it matter? No. So since our brains like to be busy, but we're the boss of our brains, we can pull a fast one on our own brains and use the wondering technique. And the wondering technique is that you presuppose the results you want, and then you just get curious about how it's going to come. So you worry about some details that really don't matter. I wonder if my new client will be a man or a woman. Do I care? No. Do I care if they're married or single, over 40 or under 40? No, but if I let my brain worry about that stuff, it's actually doing something useful instead of wondering if I'm going to get a new client and where I'm going to find that. No, I'm presupposing I've got a new client. I just wonder, my health. I wonder if it's doing an EVOC session with Terry that's going to make a difference or some supplements. I'm presupposing that I've got the health I want. I'm just wondering about some insignificant detail. So do that for a minute. Think about something you're aiming for and wonder about it as if it's already happened. You're just wondering about some detail that doesn't really matter. I wonder if my next customer is going to be a repeat customer or a new customer. Somebody I've already met or somebody I haven't met yet. Just do a couple wonderings and notice how that feels. How's it feel? To bring your energy up? Now wonder if it'll actually happen. Bring your energy down, right? But which one do we wonder? If it'll actually happen. No, let's presuppose that it will. What you want is your job. How is God's job? Now, as long as we're on that subject, what else is your job is being open to receive. Being open to receive. And remind me in a minute to talk about punishment. So, being open to receive. A lot of people have work to do on that. So say out loud, say, I'm open to receive. So scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I felt great, 1 being Lila, pants on fire. How open are you to receive? If you aren't open to receive, then how can good come into your life? If you're not open to receive, how can health come into your life? If you're not open to receive, how can money come into your life? But we've got some stories about receiving in general. So whoever coined the phrase, it's better to give than to receive, I hope the warmest corner of hell is reserved for that person. Because that's where they belong. First of all, imagine Christmas morning, sitting around the tree, and nobody is willing to receive. So nobody opens a present. You open, David, you open one. No, Karen, you open one. And we just sit there for like 2 hours. Is that like the worst Christmas ever? Nobody opens a present? Oh, there can't be a giver without a receiver. They are entwined. And the truth is there's time to give and there's time to receive, and we should be darn good at both. And just the act of receiving gives back to the other person. Right? If you do me a favor and I say thank you, and I graciously accept it, don't you get to feel good about yourself? Right? Oh yeah. Or you buy somebody a present and they, oh, Mark, thank you. Right? They feel good about themselves. So now contrast that where undoubtedly we've given something to someone and they've received it poorly. How unfulfilling is that? Right? It's not a good experience for either person. So be open to receive. I am open to receive. And that's a capacity we can build. So think about this. Imagine that you go to the mailbox and there's an envelope in there to you, and whether it's from a client or your employer, but in there, there's a note that says, we are so happy with what you're doing, here's a tip. Now imagine that the check is for $100. Are you comfortable receiving that? Now imagine it's for $200, $500, $1,000, whatever. If we keep going up, you're going to hit a number where your head explodes. You're like, oh no, right? I can't take that. I owe them. That's your threshold for how open you are to receive. And if my threshold is let's just say $500, that means it's going to be hard for me to bring in clients in my life that are going to pay me more than $500 because that's too much. But that's just the story, right? Again, we're the storyteller. We can change that. We can increase our capacity to receive. And if that goes from 500 to now it's $1,000, that is that number that makes my head explode. I've increased my capacity for good. And more good will show up in our lives. Which reminds me of, like I said, with this agenda thing, if I follow it, it'd be a miracle. One of the things I wrote on there much earlier was Einstein's quote about the most important decision any of us ever make is whether we live in a friendly universe or a hostile universe. Right? So if you think you live in a hostile universe, you need to move. Pack your bags today, because the best outcome in a hostile universe is to simply survive. In a friendly universe, there's life. Right? And in a friendly universe, then we can realize that, you know what, my life is falling together, it's getting better. We can realize that life is our ally, and it's bringing in experiences and resources and what we need to be the best person we can possibly be. And so even when some, quote, negative things happen, we realize that that is helping me become the best person I can possibly be. Right? So do you live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe?
You want me to remind you about
Punishment. Right. So one of the stories that people have, and what's going to block being open to receive, is self-forgiveness. Right? Self-forgiveness. People aren't very good at self-forgiveness. So if I need to be punished, then how can good come into my life? Right? If I need to be punished, then how can health and well-being come into my life? No, because I need to be punished. So is anybody still hanging on to something you did 20 years ago, regretting it, feeling bad about it? I'll raise my hand if somebody asks me. Yeah. So let's say that whatever that thing was I did 20 years ago, let's say the police arrested me and there was actually a prison sentence for that. I'd be out by now. Right? And our legal system would say, Jonathan, you've paid your dues. You're now a free man, but you can't ever vote again. Right? I'd be out. But here I am still in my own mental prison, regretting that I made that decision 20 years ago, regretting that I treated that person that way 20 years ago. Right? So if I'm regretting that, then that means I need to be punished, and again, you can't be rewarded and punished at the same time. So whether it's finances, whether it's your health, and there's a lot of secondary agendas around health with punishment. You need to be punished. I can't have it that good. Right? Excuse me. So what if I can? What if I can? What if I am open to receive? And forgiving ourselves is a big piece of opening ourselves up to receive. Now, these things where if I identify like, oh, okay, I got to do some work on opening to receive. What if is a tool we can use, and there's other tools which I'll get to later that we can use to do that work. So now, let's say we've done some work and I have enhanced my capacity to receive. Now there's a second piece of this, which is I'm open to being contributed to. So everybody say out loud that it's okay for other people to contribute to me. Okay, who needs a vomit bag? Right? That brings up a lot of stuff for a lot of people, right? Because we have this story. You remember a little bit ago I talked about this, that everything is a symptom of us not fully loving, accepting, and approving of ourselves. So if I need somebody to contribute to me, to support me, well, that clearly would mean I'm not enough now, because if I was enough now, I should be able to do it by myself. So this puts me in a bind to need to ask for help, because that would prove that I'm not good enough. It just means I'm loving, accepting, and approving myself together. Since I said that, everybody following me out? Good. Right? So asking for help, allowing other people to contribute to us, is a problem for a lot of people. So, question. Has anybody had their doorbell ring, and you go answer the door, and there's a raccoon with a check in its paw, with a check? A check, yes. A raccoon, but not a check. Or a deer, or an antelope, or a rabbit holding a check. No. Money and good comes through people. So if we're not open to receive, if we're not open to be contributed to, then how is that stuff supposed to show up in our lives? right? So we're tracking that I'm not good enough, I gotta prove I'm good enough, which then makes it awkward for us to be contributed to. That's as backwards as it can be. This place, planet Earth, we're meant to contribute to each other. It's as natural as breathing. We've just got head trash around it. Right? So, I love having my back scratched. Right? I've got one of those back scratcher things, right? And that's better than nothing. But it is so much better when my wife or my daughter scratches my back, right? Because that connection, that contribution, it's the way all over life. It's better when it comes from connection and contribution, right? So if we all let go of this head trash and start contributing and serving to each other, oh my gosh, will this world be a much happier, more harmonious place. But for that to happen, we have to be open to be contributed to. But since we're trying to prove that we're good enough, we can't, right? Has everybody here held a little baby? Or whether it's your own or you borrowed one for the day? Right? Imagine looking at that little baby and saying, you're not good enough. I don't see much happening for you. That's right, exactly. It's ridiculous. I remember when my older daughter was born, I literally couldn't talk for 3 days. I could whisper, but I was just so blown away by the miracle I just experienced and how unlimited potential in my hands. I didn't look at her and go, I'm not sure we're going to feed you because I'm not sure you're worth it. Right? What are you doing to make this family better? Right? No, just by virtue of her breathing, I knew that kid was worthy of the best life has to offer. I knew that kid was a much loved child of a loving God and was worthy of the best life has to offer. I didn't look at her and go, you're not good enough. Well, each one of us was that little kid at one time. Each one of us still is that at our core, already good enough, already worthy of the best life has to offer, unlimited potential. But what we've done is we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that is our identity. And we've embraced limitations and crappy stories in place of that. So consequently, we're running around trying to prove that we're okay, trying to prove that we're good enough. This is almost the root of all suffering. People trying to prove they're enough, trying to prove they're good enough, when you already are. And it's nothing you earned, it was a gift. You were born that way. So there's nothing you can do to lose it. So if I spent the next hour trying to prove to you guys that I have an arm, you'd be like, what is that guy's problem, right? Hey, we're done. Right? No, look, I got an arm. See, watch. See, look, I got an arm. See. Shut up, Kevin. That's what people are doing in life. We're running around trying to prove that we're already good enough when you already are. What if you already are good enough? And so, loving, accepting, and improving yourself. Being kinder to ourselves. Excuse me. What if there's nothing to prove? So if I don't need to prove that I'm okay, I don't need to prove that I'm good enough by doing it by myself, then I can be contributed to. And there's a term for this, it's called the hero's journey. Right, so if you think about any book, movie, the typical plot is this person needs to overcome tremendous challenges and escape death many times and kill 45 people without getting hit by one of the million bullets that were fired at them. And then they get to achieve their result, right? And they're the hero. That's in our culture that it doesn't count if it isn't hard. And that we've got to go through obstacles to prove that we're good enough. Right? But no, what if it can be easy? Yes, there's a time and a place to overcome obstacles, but we don't need to make them for ourselves. Right? I didn't need to throw a grappling hook to the roof and then climb up and kick in the window to come here today. I just took the stairs. Blindfolded, by the way. But that's what we're doing in our lives. We're making things harder. What if it can be easy? We're making things harder than it needs to be because we're trying to prove that we're okay, trying to prove that we're good enough. So my God, don't help me because that would prove that I'm not good enough, right? So I'm open to be contributed to. I'm open to be contributed to. What if I can be contributed to? What if it's a good thing to be contributed to? What if? Yeah. So, to change the story, what if it's smart to be contributed to? Because anybody who's created a fortune has had a lot of people that have contributed to them. How many people have contributed to Bill Gates? Anybody here not on a Microsoft product? I guess we've contributed to Bill Gates, haven't we? How many employees? How many co-founders? He didn't do it by himself. So, if he's the richest man in the world and he got it by letting other people contribute to him, is that maybe a pretty good strategy? Yeah. But we don't. So what if it's okay for other people to contribute to it? A while back, I got an assignment from my coach who said, okay, if anytime anybody asks you to help, you say yes. Like, great, thanks. So that afternoon, I went to Home Depot to buy some paving stones. There's a little old lady working the cash register. She says to me, do you need some help getting those out to your car? I knew I was supposed to say yes, and I couldn't. I stammered. I'm like, no, and I ran out of Home Depot. Boom! Because I couldn't, because I'm a man. I don't need help loading my car. Like the old lady's going to come out there and do it for me, right? First of all, there's some teenager, that's his job, loader. Great job, right? I couldn't do it. I freaked out because by trying to prove I'm good enough, worried about what other people think. I couldn't do it. Luckily, life is kind and gives us many chances, right? So that afternoon, I picked up my daughter from school. We needed to pick up a handful of stuff from the grocery store. So we're walking out of the grocery store. We had 3 bags of groceries. I was carrying 2. She was carrying 1. She says to me, Daddy, give me one of the other bags, and that way you'll be able to get your keys out. My immediate response was to say no, because, well, secret, I am stronger than my daughter. So, I could carry her and the 3 bags of groceries to the car, right? And so my immediate response was to say, no, I got it. But I remembered the Home Depot debacle, and I'm like, forced myself to say, that would be great. And I gave the bag to my daughter. But now, back to giving and receiving are intertwined. What did I just give my daughter besides this bag of groceries? A blessing to help her dad. She got to feel like she was contributing to the family. And I love my daughter dearly, but one of my complaints is that she's not as helpful as I would like her to be. But how many times has she tried to be helpful and I shut her down? I got it, don't worry about it. A lot. Because I can't be contributed to. So what if I can be contributed to? Right? So now I hop in the shopping cart and tell her to push me to the car. But whenever anybody asks to help you, say yes. Right? You grocery store, you need some help getting up to your car. Bite your tongue. Say yes, that would be great. Or there's people out there who, if you buy them a cup of coffee, they stress out, right? That would be great. Thank you. That would be great. Thank you.
I just have to interject because this is such a phenomenal story. About a year ago, I got to totally left. I was hurrying, much easier to work. Left my wallet in the car, opened it first, and I said to the girl, "Hold on, I'll be right back." Some lady behind me was like
I don't really close on stuff like a lot like this. And when I was doing it this day, some lady next to me was like, no, I got it. And I looked at her and I said, you don't have to do that. She said, I know you don't have to do it. I want to do it. She looked at a $5 bill and I just looked at her and I said, oh my God, thank you. It like made my day. I'm still in awe of that story.
And made her day.
I mean, that was not $1. It was like a $5 bill. And she like loved doing it. It was so incredible. And I did. I accepted that. I just shifted and it was just, I mean, it made my whole day. I walked on beaming. I'm still beaming from it. You made me think of it. It's like that was awesome. I mean, who does that? It was $5. She didn't even know.
The power of contribution.
Yeah.
We were at Savers, what are those stores called? Thrift store. And my daughter saw this stuffed animal and wanted another stuffed animal. I'm like, no, not a chance. No. The thing goes, I'll buy it for her. Okay. Thank you. That would be great. So now we have another stuffed animal. Same sort of thing, right? But being open to be contributed to. And back to the room with the $100, right? Who cares where that contribution comes from? I need to be open to receive, and I need to be open to be contributed to. And most people got some progress to make on those issues. So what if it's smart to be contributed? So what you want is your job. How that comes about is God's job. And then our job again is to be in action, doing the stuff that we need to do. And then to do work on ourselves to enhance our capacity to receive and our capacity to be contributed to. And a line I read, this is Marianne Williamson, she said, money doesn't come from people, it comes through people. And that was a game changer for me. That really made a difference in my ability to receive. Because I realized that, you know what, that money is coming to me. God's sending that money into my life. And whether he brings it through this person or that person, it doesn't matter. And if it's coming through this person, then, oh gosh, I should receive instead of trying to be a mind reader and thinking for them and wondering if I need to give them a discount and if we can really afford my services and blah, 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 blah. If they want to write me a check, I will take it to the bank. Thank you very much. I am open to receive. I gratefully receive. I don't know how, but what if I can? It all ties together there. And again, we have to take action, right? So that you've probably heard this joke before, right? There's a big flood and the dam's going to burst, and so they go up to Bob's house. They drive up there in their four-wheel drive, and like, Bob, the dam's going to burst. We need to get you out of here. It's like, oh no, I've served God my whole life. God will take care of me. I'm standing here, right? So then, the flood waters start to rise. They come by in a boat, and Bob's now stuck on the second floor of his house, right? Same thing. No, God's going to take care of you. I've served the Lord my whole life. It's good. Now he's on the roof. Helicopter comes by. Bob, it's your last chance. You got to go. Oh, no. God will take care of you. Right? So then Bob shows up at the gates of heaven, dripping wet and mad. Like, God, get off the ground. And I was like, Bob, I sent the truck. I sent the boat. I sent the helicopter. You can help me out here a little bit. Right? So that's law of attraction and law of action. They go together. How far do you think you could hop? Not very far, right? How far could you walk? A long ways, right? So if this way is law of attraction stuff, this way is law of action, if I use them both, I can go places. If I hop, I'm just not going to go that far. It takes both. And people, there's two schools in that, right? There's two extremes in that. There's the people who are busy, and they don't have the time to explore what's going on in their heads and their beliefs and that sort of thing. And so they're busy as can be and going nowhere. And then on the other end of the spectrum is the person who's just going to, wealth, rich, and they don't do anything. Neither of those extremes works. No. Do the mindset piece that we're talking about. Do your personal growth work. Do your law of attraction work. And then do stuff. Be in action. Do the stuff, the small baby steps that are going to move your life forward. And do them regularly, and your life will move forward. And there's a quote I love from Goethe. And the gist of it says, when one hesitates, when one's not in action, then nothing happens. But when one commits, then providence moves too. And all manner of unforeseen aid issues forth that would have never otherwise arisen on your behalf. So be bold, get into action, because boldness has genius in it, blah, 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 blah. Right? Providence moves too. So that's the piece that's missing for people is that action moves oftentimes. And then providence moves too. If you're on the basketball team and you're sitting on the bench, does anybody pass you the ball? No. If you're on the court, will the ball come to you? Yeah. Us getting into action has us being on the court, which opens up the door for miracles to show up in our life. And God doesn't force feed us miracles. We need to be open to receive them. God doesn't force them down our throats. We've got free will. We've got free choice. But we can choose to be open to receive, to get on the court, and then the miracles will happen. If we're not on the court, we're not in the game. So doing those small things puts you in the game. If there's any entrepreneurs in the room, I know there are, we've all had this experience. If you're sitting around just hoping somebody's going to call you, that phone is deathly silent, right? But what happens when you start making some calls? Magic. Your phone starts ringing. And whether it's somebody you called back, or somebody out of the blue, or somebody's like, oh, I had this not too long ago, somebody called me like, I've been thinking about working with you for like 4 years now. Okay, what would you like to start? Right? Because I took action, and then providence moved to it. And again, where it comes from is a detail that doesn't really matter. So whether it was that person who had been off of my radar for 4 years, or somebody else, who cares? Right? But I got a new client. And then money came through them to me. Not from a raccoon, from a person contributing. And I contributed to him, he contributed to me, where everybody was happy. So, open to receive. Now, I said a minute ago that, a few minutes ago, we would get into the how-to tools, but that was a little bit of a lie, I guess. But we're not going to get into the tools here today, because that's not the best use of our time together. So, write down this on your handout is my website, jonathanmanske.com. Put that little backslash thing, and then personal-growth, personal-growth. I meant to put that on the handout, and obviously I did. Personal-growth. On there is a 2-hour-long video that teaches you tools like what if, and tapping, and Sedona method, and other things, so that when you said, I'm open to be contributed to, and that was a 4, you can use these tools and turn that into a 9 or a 10. Now, when you do that, obviously life will be different. Right? So does everyone get that website okay? So it's my jonathanmanske.com, which is at the bottom of your page, then /personal-growth. Or if you can't find it, my email address is on there. Email me and I'll email you.
On that note, this recording that we're doing right now, be able to access that?
Yes, you'll be able to access that as well. So as long as either Carrie or I have your email address,
Yeah, it's sendable.
it is sendable, yes. This will live on YouTube, so it's available.
Okay.
All right, so where are we? What have I talked about on here that I'm supposed to talk about? Let's talk a little bit more about life as your ally with energy. Yes, Debbie.
I would like, if you don't mind, what I spoke to about when I first got here, I'm all good with everything you're talking about. It's the outside forces that inflict in my life, like a phone call I had this morning. And in this case, it was my mother. I mean, it was my mother, not someone I can, diss totally. And that's what's so hard, because I'm all good with keeping this stuff funneled inside me. But I mean, how do you deal with something like that? If you have, some other. It is good. I don't know. What do you guys?
Great question. So, law of attraction. Focus on what you want. Sounds simple enough, right? Yeah, until we have to live. And then it gets tricky because stuff like this happens, right? So, a couple things on that. One is we need to see and celebrate progress, which is an energy up thing, and people aren't very good at that. If they instead of, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I should be doing better, I should be farther along, right? So, you're a human being, you're both a mess and a miracle. And we're going to have times where we trip and fall flat on our face. And your mother falls into that category of circumstances outside your control. But you get to choose how you respond. So it sounds like this morning you chose a response that brought your energy down. Yeah. So, welcome to being you. And so self-forgiveness, because if we don't beat up on ourselves for that just is a double whammy of bringing our energy down. Oh, I was a mess. Right?
Well,
so
I didn't want her to ruin my aura and my energy coming in. It didn't matter when I was coming here or at home. But yes, I feel bad, and I also feel I'm going to change her.
So back to life is our. We either can look at either life is our ally or our enemy. Right? You live in a friendly universe or a hostile universe. So in the hostile universe, crap happens, and it's unfair. In the friendly universe where life is your ally, life's job is to help me be the best I can be. So that means that sometimes life will make sure that I get my buttons pushed. Because whose button is it? Mine. Right? So if Karen, I can somehow get Karen to stop pushing my buttons, I'll run into Gail and he'll take over the job. And if I somehow get Gail to stop, then David will take over the job. Because life is telling me, hey, Jonathan, as long as you got that button there, you're going to be all you can be. And the Army ruined a really great saying. Be all you can be. You get the Army thing. Be all you can be. If that button, my response, my fragile well-being is not me being the best I can be. And life's job is to point that out to me again and again so that I can learn and grow and not let stuff like that bother me as much as it used to. And along that journey, we have to celebrate progress. Right? So if we were all climbing a mountain together, and I'm at the back, and I keep saying, we're not there yet, we're not there yet, we're not there yet, right? It's going to be a contest between you all to see who throws me off a cliff, right? Because I'm going to be driving you crazy. Shut up already, right? No. Celebrate the progress. Look back and see how far we've come. Oh my gosh, now I'm encouraged instead of discouraged. Look, the car's all teeny. We've come a long way. Sure, the summit's still far, but oh my gosh, look how far we've come. It is working. I am getting better, right? So, Portia Nelson has this poem called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. This is the butchered version. Day 1, I'm walking down the street, I fall in a hole, it's not my fault, and it takes me forever to get out. Day 2, I walk down the same street, I fall in the same hole, it's still not my fault, but I do get out a little bit quicker. Day 3, I walk down the same street, I fall in the same hole, it is my fault, I get out right away. Day 4, I walk down the same street, I walk around the hole. Day 5, I walk down a different street. I love what she's doing there, right? Because progress isn't about us being perfect. Progress is being, can I get over this quicker? If you get over this quicker than you habitually have, you are headed in the right direction. Progress is only throwing out 9 poop-covered boomerangs instead of 10 poop-covered boomerangs. That is progress, and if we learn to see that as progress and celebrate that as progress, then we get to feel better about ourselves. And law of attraction is all about the feelings we're putting out there. So when I feel better about myself, I'm being kinder to myself, more loving, accepting, approving of myself, which naturally makes life work better, right? So the question is anything worth closing our hearts over? There's 2 answers to that. There's the theoretical answer, and there's the answer of how we've been living our lives. The theoretical answer is nothing is worth closing our hearts over. Because nobody has ever closed their heart and created a better life for themselves. Think about it. Have you ever shut down and life got better? No. When you shut down, it hurts. But is anything worth closing our hearts over? Well, my daughter leaving the light on, my wife forgetting to say goodbye when she leaves. Yep, all those things are worth me closing my heart over apparently because I've done it, right? So we need to learn to value our own joy and our own happiness. But that is the most important, precious possession you have, right? If you're fabulously wealthy and you don't enjoy your life, what's your wealth for? If you're healthy as can be and you don't enjoy your life, what's your health for? You got the sexiest, hottest body on the planet, but you don't enjoy your life, what's that worth? None of that stuff is worth anything if we don't have that joy piece. So your joy is your greatest possession. And there's things that we can do to either cultivate that joy or demolish that joy. And so the first thing is to get real clear, my joy matters. I'm a joy warrior. I'm committed to my joy. Joy warrior, that's it. And then start to make different decisions. So, can you be happy even though your mother is a ding dong, head in the butt? Yeah, you can because who's the boss of the wedding? You know, like I said, the law of attraction, theoretically easy. Focus on what you want. Okay, got that. And then life happens, and it's so easy to start focusing on what we don't want and to get our buttons pushed on that. But if your life is falling together, this is just part of the learning process, and it's an opportunity for you to become the best you can be. Does that make sense? And, you know, if I was like training for a marathon, right, I'd have a training schedule where this is an easy day and this is a hard day, right? So then we just need to use some of those people as one of the hard days of our training program. Oh yeah, this is the hard day. I got to talk to mom. But there's a way, right? Is it possible that you can interact with her and not get your buttons? Yes, it's possible. Are you there yet? No. Is there room for growth? Yes. Are you better than you used to be? I bet you are. So you've made progress. Celebrate that progress. If we celebrate the progress, then we have capacity to be curious about how to make more progress. If we invalidate the progress, then we just stop. It's not working. We've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, right? And then we're just stuck. We're powerless. No, it's working. Please.
So I just want to point out for a second how Jonathan and I can really complement each other on the work that we do. So, like you're asking about your mom and interactions with your mom. I have a program called EVOC. It works on perception reframing. So when you have an event in your life or a person in your life that you're really struggling with, or even a health issue that you're really struggling with, you can do an EVOC session, which is perception reframing. How do you deal with all those emotional triggers and those emotional landmines and the people or the events that have happened to you? So you can clear all that energy out with an EVOC session, or for instance, we have health issues. We can do a few EVOC sessions to clear out whatever the energy is and the blocks that we have in our own head, get those out of the way, and then you take all this great information that Jonathan is teaching us here today, you take that and apply that to your daily life. So, sorry to interject, but I just wanted to try to help and make that connection. But let me jump in. Sorry. Sure. One other thing, for those of you that did get the little symptom sheet when you came in, that is definitely another thing while he's kind of wrapping up that I want you guys to think about. As far as those symptoms or the illnesses, the things that you have that are pertinent to you in your life, take a moment to recognize what that is. When you came in here, you were feeling like, oh, you know, I have this symptom or this illness. How can I apply the things that Jonathan has talked about today? How can I apply that to the what if? Being open to receive when you're, you know, getting a good supplement or getting a good treatment. How can you be open to receive that? So
And, you know, at the beginning I said to Carrie, I've been working with Carrie, and I'm experiencing more joy in my life than I used to. That's because I let go of this baggage, right? And the video I mentioned is tools for letting go of the baggage. So if we're dragging baggage, then it's easier to react, right? So everybody, think of somebody that, you know, you're a little irritated with. Everybody got somebody? Again, if not, I can loan you someone. Everybody got someone? So now picture that person in your head and say these three phrases. Say, I love you, I forgive you, I release you to the Holy Spirit. And then one more time. I love you, I forgive you, I release you to the Holy Spirit. And notice how you feel about them now. Is it lighter? Is it easier? It is, right? That's a version of the Sedona method there, or releasing technique. I love you, it's not like, hey, you're my best friend. No, it's acknowledging, you know, I'm a child of God, you're a child of God. I love you. I forgive you. Not saying what you did is okay or not okay. I'm saying I'm done suffering about this. So I'm letting go of it. And then I release you to the Holy Spirit. If Holy Spirit is part of your belief system, you could say, I release you to God, I release you to your angels, whatever. Just what I learned the technique is Holy Spirit, and that works very well for myself. Right? But how that other person lives their life is ultimately none of my business, even if they have a name like daughter or wife. That's between them and their maker. So, is anybody's dream job to work in the prison system and be a guard? No? No? Okay, well, you're the exception. For the rest of us, I'm not sure that's what happened. But anyway, just moving on from that comment. No, it's cool. So, if, right, when we think it's my job to make sure Carrie gets punished because she did that thing, I'm going to hold my grudge against her, I'm now putting myself in that role of prison guard. And that's not what I want to do in my life, right? So I love you, I forgive you, I release you. I love you, I forgive you, I release you. That technique is gold to me. Anytime I've got any friction with anybody and I use that, it helps. The other thing I use with other people is this compassion technique, which is to look at anyone, we just look at the other people around this room and know that everyone here has hopes and dreams, just like me. Everyone here has been hurt before. Everyone here is trying to not get hurt again. Everyone, just like me. Everyone here is trying to make sense of their own life, just like me. And just like me, people do things that don't make sense sometimes. People have crappy life strategies that don't work. So when somebody's out there being an idiot, am I ever an idiot? Well, I could get my wife on the phone and we could confirm that for you. Right? Yeah. I'll tell you, I have some life strategies that don't work that I use every darn day because maybe today's the day to work. No, because I'm a mess and a miracle just like you are. Right? So, just like me, that person is trying to make sense of his or her own life. And that allows me to now move into a place of compassion rather than a place of annoyance and frustration. And the biblical version of that is when Jesus was being crucified, there were some people who were taunting him. And he said, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. And when people are being nasty out there, they don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to make sense of their own life. They're just trying to get what they want. They're just trying to do the best they can. And that's what their best looks like at that moment in time, right? And if the Father forgive them, then Father forgive me for knowing not what I do. Right? Does anybody wake up in the morning and go, let me see how I can sabotage the heck out of myself today? No, but do we sabotage ourselves? Yeah, because we're human. So that self-forgiveness, now we're back to that self-forgiveness piece again, right? And when I can forgive myself, I'm loving and accepting and improving myself. So I know we're just about out of time here, and I told you with the agenda that I probably wouldn't follow it, so there's some stuff we can get to. So let me say one thing really quick here about health, net crash, and the law of attraction. If you don't have this book in your house, go get it. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Amazing book. The back of this book is this table that's set up with, here's the issue, here's the probable cause, which is a thought, a belief system, and here's a new thought pattern. And anytime a client of mine happens to mention something going on physically, I turn to this, and 99 times out of 100, it's dead on. So, anybody got a little physical thing going on? A little chair? Knee? So, knee. Knee problems. So, knee problems. So, there's knee, and then there's knee problems. Knee represents pride and ego. And the healing thought is, I am flexible and flowing. So, I am flexible and flowing. How does that make you feel? Good, right? So, do you need more flexibility and flow in your life? Yeah. Knee problems, stubborn ego and pride, inability to bend, fear and flexibility won't give in. Healing, forgiveness, understanding, compassion. I bend and flow with ease and all is well. How does that hit you? Yeah. This book is gold. You should have this book. And I could go through a whole bunch of things in my life, and it's always accurate, right? So, and then that little handout that we didn't get to just shows different parts, where different qualities of consciousness live in your body, right? So, if I've got a sore throat, what's in throat? Throat is asking for what you want, self-expression, creativity, receiving, communicating, persuasion, standing up for yourself, right? So, if I've got a sore throat, I would ask myself, do any of those strike a chord? And I go, yeah, I got that situation, and I'm not standing up for myself. There's the mind-body connection right there. So stand up for yourself, and the throat will take care of yourself. It's not about healing yourself, healing your throat there, as much as it's about healing your mindset, your beliefs, and that sort of stuff. Does that make sense? So that's a super quick version of that piece. So, yep, we're done. We're almost done. Yeah.
John, would you allow me to bless you?
Of course.
Would you turn to that flower? Okay. And you just focus on that flower. And I want to have the opportunity for you to know how you can bless John. If you look down at the daily dose of Jonathan, he, every morning or throughout the day, because Jonathan moves when the spirit moves, right? He will send you a daily dose that absolutely you could not only appreciate and thrive on, but you could send it to all your friends, because it's a word of wisdom that you can read in less than 30 seconds sometimes, and it will just bless you. And it's probably something you needed to hear that day. So that's one way. The second way that you can bless Jonathan, because he has a mission to help every human being that walks on this planet. And so I want to have Jonelle stand up and tell what happens when she goes to her personal growth gym every morning. Jonathan. Jonelle.
Jonathan, I am part of your self-efficacy camp, and so every morning at 6:30, I get to tune in and listen to Jonathan for 30 minutes, from 6:30 to 7. And people will check in and share some of the challenges that you share, and you always learn those tips from Jonathan, just affirmations for the day. It's a long thing to on the day. One day, Jonathan talks for an hour. We have 1 hour of phenomenal, incredible information. That's when Jonathan talks on 11 steps in improvement. And what does that really mean? And we know it's a very big discussion. Improving my life.
Okay, now I want to bless Carrie. Carrie and Jonathan, it's a beautiful tandem. You couldn't ask for a better team to work together to help us all. And we sure could use that growth. So I'm going to ask Sherry to stand up and talk about EVOX. And also Jonathan can mention to that because they both have experienced EVOX.
So Carrie has this little device to put your hand on. And she also has an earphone when you're talking to this thing. So you can put your hand on this device, it's connected to a computer, put on the earphone and the microphone. And you, as Carrie mentioned earlier, you speak about something or somebody that's kind of in your space and you're trying to work through it. She brings out all kinds of emotions, and it's kind of weird because she's not bringing it out. I'm sorry? Biofeedback is bringing it out. So you can find yourself kind of let loose a little bit. And it's good because those emotions, that energy gets to move around. But I'll tell you, I've done it 2 times, and now I really enjoy it. And when I leave, I'm a different person. In fact, I just have to say, between the 2 of them, and I'm in Jonathan's boot camp in the mornings too. I love it. Between the 2 of them, I'm really a different person than I was even with them.
Cool. All right. I think I want to thank both of you for what you're doing for each of us. And when we understand, and you sent me something the other day that just blew me out of the water. I have always known what you sent me, but when I went through the documentary of what Western medicine is doing versus what God can do through you folks, it's entirely different. And I think we have a responsibility to be aware of what's going on and know what we can do to make a difference. And I'm talking about a documentary of 9, is it 9? Videos that talk about cancer. And cancer, 1 out of 2 people are going to get cancer. And so if you don't understand what they have done the research, they went all over the world to give you the real answer about cancer. It's pretty amazing. And we have a responsibility to share with our friends and neighbors and people that will listen to us. Just listen to this documentary. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, but now you're loaded with some information that can help your friends or family, anyone else you know that suffers through these diseases that a lot of times man has created for the difference of money. So anyway, I want to thank you for really doing that. And thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you.